Perfect. Hello, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I am so excited for you to be here tonight. I just want to welcome you all to the American Family Insurance Dream Bank, where we believe in the transformative powers of dreams. I'm Madeline. I'm thrilled to have you with us tonight. At least it's tonight here in Madison. But if you're on the West Coast, it still might be like afternoon. But for those of you that aren't familiar with DreamBank, welcome. Oh my goodness. For those of you that are familiar with DreamBank, welcome back. And for those of you that this is your first time joining us, welcome. Here at American Family Insurance, we believe communities are stronger and the future is brighter when we are actively pursuing their dreams. That's why we created DreamBank, an inspirational community destination and digital experience dedicated to dreamers everywhere. I would like to introduce you tonight to Keena. Keena teaches yoga here on Friday, every other Friday, and then also out in the community as well. As long as she also teaches dance and all things wellness. She has a podcast and she is a speaker and facilitator, and she speaks on topics on mindfulness, conflict resolution, mindset, and then tonight she's talking about finding your purpose and leadership and so much more. I am going to be done stumbling through this, Keena, and I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thank you, Maddie. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining tonight. I'm so excited for you all to be here. If some of y'all are here from my lunchtime yoga classes, welcome back. It's great to have those of you here. And those of you who I've never had the opportunity to speak before in front of, and those of you who I have, thank you for being here. And thank you to DreamBank. So thank you so much to DreamBank for giving me this opportunity to come here and speak with y'all on this topic that is so important and for not just me but for all of us. Okay, so uh, as Maddie said, my name is Keena Atkinson. I teach yoga here for DreamBank Yoga. I teach dance classes, and I also do public speaking on a variety of topics because that's what I love to do. I love to share with people. So I have a lovely presentation for y'all here today, and I'm so excited to get into it. So let me just go ahead and share my screen. I did see something in the chat about closed captioning. And I apologize, Kathy. I don't actually know how to do that. I think it might be something that you can turn on maybe on your computer. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all so we can get this presentation rolling. Okay, so this is Dream Big, Finding Your Purpose. In this workshop, we're going to talk about the steps, the process to what it takes to find your purpose. And it's really more so like things to think about and to mindset, all right? And it's a little bit of strategy and some figuring out some things that that are common things that people try to work with in order to figure this out, okay? So my name is Keena. I am owner of Rougie Wellness, and I primarily operate in Madison, Wisconsin, but then I do also teach classes nationally as well. All right. So finding your purpose. So what is purpose? Let me move my this thing out of my way here. Okay, so what is purpose? There's a lot of ways that we can define purpose. I mean, one of the ways that I would talk about purpose is like, what is your life calling? And it doesn't mean that whatever your life calling is that that's something that you have to be tied and bound to for all of eternity and that it's unchanging. Your life's calling changes as you go through different seasons in life. But you might notice that there are common themes and threads that take you along the way. I'm a yoga instructor, so so thread yoga. There's threads, union. There's ways that your story, your purpose in life, the threads, they will unite, and you'll notice things that keep showing up at each of the chapters and stages and evolutions of your life. Sometimes you might think about it as your passions. Sometimes you might think about it as the things that you love to do. And I like to think about it as your purpose being, again, like what is your calling in life? What is the thing that is consistent and relevant through the stages and evolutions of your life, part of your evolving identity. Okay. Um, let's see here. So when I say when we talk about purpose, it's like, well, why? What's even the point? Why even seek purpose? Okay. One of the things about that is that when it comes to your purpose in life, I want to remind you that each and every one of you, each and every one of us here on this call, whether you're listening on live or post broadcast, each and every one of us has our own unique set of circumstances, life experiences. When you take the combination of your life experiences, the things that you're interested in, and the gifts and talents that you bring to the table, you're gonna figure out that you are basically a snowflake. There's no one on earth who has that same exact unique set of items that you come equipped with. And then as you continue to evolve and develop through your life, you're going to learn, hey, you're going to continue to become more developed and refined, and then you're also going to become more you. So as you're seeking your purpose, it's also a practice of seeking your authentic self, of leaning into your authentic nature, who you really are, not who you're expected to be, not who society wants you to be, not who your parents want you to be, or your boss, or your job, or your friends, or your children, but who you authentically are, and what you're interested in and passionate about, maybe even obsessed with. What are those things that drive you? What are those driving forces in your life? What are the things that keep you awake? Why are we seeking those things? Because people are counting on you. People are waiting for you. People are expecting you to lean into those things, because those gifts that you have, I like to tell people that you just like me, each of us has a responsibility. We have a responsibility to the world to lean into those gifts, to tap into those superpowers of ours, and to share them with the world, because we're here for that reason. We were happened to be created and around during this particular time and stage of technology, of information, of time and awareness, this particular time for a particular reason. And so whatever, and then also to come with those interests and experiences that you came equipped with, right? Your unique set of insight and understanding, those things nobody else has that you have. And I remember when I was attempting to take a step back at writing, people reminded me, Keena, no, you cannot not share your writing. Your writing is not just for you, it is for the people who you impact with it. Okay. So, to take it a step further, if you think about why seek purpose, why stand in it, why step into it, if you think about any person in history whose name lives on, any person in history who you look up to, who impacted you, it was because they stepped into their purpose, they sought that out, and they stepped into it despite the times that they were maybe afraid, despite the things, the hesitations or the doubts that they might have experienced. They stood in it, they stepped into it, even despite those things, even despite people telling them, hey, no, you shouldn't do this, or this isn't a good idea, or nobody has done that before, or that's a silly idea, or that thing doesn't make any sense. They still did those things. If you need an example, I just invite you to look around you. Look at the windows that are nearby. You look at the chair that you're sitting on, the computer. You look at any one thing, and then you break it down into smaller things, right? This is the practice that I love to do with teens when it comes to gratitude. It is like, okay, like if we look at, the chair, or let's say if I have my mason jar. I hope y'all are drinking your water. I've got my mason jar here, and I can take this apart. I can be like, wow, thank you to whoever said I need to put together some plastic or some kind of material and make it round. so that people can drink out of that. And somebody probably said, why do we need a straw when they can just do this, right? Shout out to them because they stood in their purpose and their name lives on, or their beliefs and their values, their obsessions, their passions, their gifts, they continue to live on infinitely. They get to be timeless, because they stepped into that. Okay. Um, oh dang, was I not sharing my screen this whole time? Okay. So this is why we seek our purpose, because people are counting on you. Okay, there's some idea that you have, and maybe you're going back and forth like, I don't know, like maybe this is not relevant, maybe it's unnecessary. And I want to just be the one, if nobody else is the one to tell you, let me be the one to tell you, no, it is relevant, it is necessary, it's needed, it's valid. And I think if some of the great historical figures, if they said, maybe I won't, uh, we wouldn't be able to thank them. We wouldn't be able to have gratitude for them. Okay. So let's see here. You know, let me move on. So who are the people who should seek and define their purpose? I will say everyone. Okay. But let me narrow it down a little bit for those. Besides everyone, I want to narrow it down for those who might be like, maybe I'm not included in that category. And I'm gonna say no, but you are. Okay. So who could that be? It's the busy, those who feel like they don't have an aim, those who feel bored, and stagnant with where they are in life, those who feel disconnected from a community, those who feel emptied out, who feel like, gosh, I don't have anything that's inside of me. Those who feel overworked and who are struggling with anything. If you're struggling, especially, right? Whatever you're struggling with, this is definitely for you. Those struggles, your answers are inside of some of those struggles, okay? Those who feel like where they're living at right now in life is not fulfilling. Those who feel lost, those who feel discontent. Now, I especially want to talk about the lost, um, or the unfulfilled, or the discontent. And I want to speak on that part and say, so I'm a mother. I guess I didn't tell you guys a whole lot about me. I will tell you more about me, but I'm a mother. I've got two kids, two sons. One is 18 and one will be 8 in 2 days. Okay. And so my oldest son, I say all the time, so my son, he's 18 years old. He's a black boy in America. And my son, he's been in sports his whole life since he was 4 years old. He's been in sports, and he loves the game of basketball. He loves football. And one of the things that I tell other parents, and that I like to reinforce, is how important it was, how I realized how important of a decision the investment was as a mother to put my boy into sports and to keep him in there, for me to make my commitment to his life, because through the team sport, he was able to find purpose, right? And be tied to something greater than him. And so I tell people all the time, my son probably didn't care about school, but he cared about basketball and he cares about football. And so in order to be eligible to play those sports, he has to go to school, right? And so for those who've ever experienced feeling lost or unfulfilled or discontent, finding your purpose, it ties you to something greater than yourself. It gives you a reason to get up in the morning. It gives you a reason to go out there and live your most authentic life in the most passionate way possible. Okay. And I see that in other areas, but I feel so thankful in the way that I see it showing up in my son. Okay. So finding your purpose, it gives gas to the other areas in life. So that's why, even if you are in any of these areas, especially if you're in these areas, then I want to encourage you, like, this is for you. And even if you don't resonate with any of these areas, if you feel like, no, I feel great, everything in life is good, still, that there's things that you'll take away from this session. Okay. So this is for anybody who's here. My goal is that anybody has at least one thing that they take away from this session today. Like, oh, like I can apply that. Okay. So where to start, where to look, right? Like there's so many ways that we can go about this purpose, finding the purpose. Okay, where can I find that? And these are things like that I've learned and that I've experienced in my life that I am honored to be able to share with you all. Number one, you can definitely start with your story. Like, do you ever tell anybody the story of who you are? I'll tell you guys my story in a little bit. Do you ever tell anybody your story about who you are? There's so many gems in your story because again, there's no one else on earth who has that particular combination. Okay. Do you know what your why is? Do you know why you get out of bed every day? Do you know who you're doing it for? Even if it's not for you, do you know who it's for? Is it tied to something greater than yourself? Is it tied to something that you care about? Because I promise you, my why did not start with me. My like for a long time, when I didn't care about myself, when I didn't like or love myself, I cared about my kids. Okay, and so when just Keena alone wasn't motivation enough, I still had something else that was bigger than myself, more important. That kept me rolling. Okay, that kept me getting out of bed. That did not let me give up. Okay, so what is your why? And if you don't, and I forgot, actually, I didn't even offer this to you all, but I invite you to take notes during this session. If things pop up for you, write them down. I will encourage you to think about what your why is and your story. I invite you to think about all of these things throughout and after, okay? Write them down now, but this is recorded. It'll be posted on Facebook and YouTube, so you can always come back to this, okay? So come back to this as often as you need to. So figure out what your why is. Why are you here? I remember my mom a long time ago. My mom was my mom told me, she was like, she was telling me about somebody who was lost. She was like, gosh, like until they figure out why they're here, they're just taking up air, they're just breathing, because they don't know why they're here, right? And so it's like you got to figure out why, because you're here for a reason. Everybody's here for a reason. Nobody's a waste of space. Everybody is important, and has a purpose and a value and a contribution to this earth, to this world. Every one of you has an impact, and you're going to impact, if you haven't already, probably already do impact people. So taking it into the next one, what is your impact, right? If you're trying to figure out what is my purpose, who am I, all of those things, maybe you look at, well, who do I already impact without even trying? Who am I naturally impacting? Am I impacting adults? Is it children? Maybe you can whittle it down to, am I impacting people of a certain population? Maybe it's people who are in real estate, or maybe it's people who are entrepreneurs, or maybe it's people who really have a passion for nails, okay, or construction, or people who just have a special thing about concrete or cement. Whatever it is, okay? Maybe you just have a passion for people. Maybe you're like, hey, I impact people who have a love for stationery. If that's so, you're going to impact me because I love stationery. I'm a fan of it, okay? So who do you impact naturally? You can start there. What are your passions? What are your obsessions, okay? How do you figure out what those things are? What are the things that you do for free? All right, I tell people all the time, I'm so honored and thankful that I get to live a life where the things that I do every day, they're things that I would do for free. Nobody has to pay me for the things that I do. They pay me as a oh, I'm looking at the chat. I don't know. Sorry. Okay, thank you. I seen that message. Thank you. The things that you would do for free, right? So it's like the money is a bonus. The money comes as like a side effect of you leaning into your offerings, into your gifts, into your passions, obsessions, to your purpose. Okay, the money will just, when people talk about the money will chase you, it's the truth. Okay, you don't have to look for money when you're living in your authentic truth, when you're living in your passions and in your purpose. Okay, and I put obsessions in there as well because that's how I be living my life. Okay, I'm an intense person. I feel intensely. I'm an intense person. And so like I am one of those people, right, where there's things that keep me up at night that I know that they don't keep everybody else up at night. Oh my gosh, it says my internet is unstable. I hope we're all right here. But what are the things that wake you up in the middle of the night that you're like, "God, if only." What are those things? What are the things that you're thinking about in the middle of the night when you wake up and it keeps you awake, or that you want to stay awake for but you fall asleep by accident? What are those things? Okay? What are your gifts? What is your visions? All right? What are your values? What are the things that you're just like, this is just a value for mine. I just can't, get past it. It's just so important. It's special to me. This is the thing for me. All right. And then one of the things that might be the hardest is, what is your identity? And that one can be really hard for a lot of us, because especially if you've gotten caught up in the cycle of thinking that your identity is in your titles, in your certifications, your accolades, your degrees or certificates, positions at work. If you think that those are your identity, those are just the things that you have experience and mastery over. And don't let me say just as if that's like nothing, because it's not nothing. It's important. It's a big part of your life. It's a part of the things that have shaped you, but it's not your identity. And I want you to know that, because as we go through stages and phases and chapters and evolutions in our life, there's things that wax and wane, be it our health, be it our job, be it our relationship status. And if you think that those are your identity, if any of these things become lost or changes, you could feel ruined or lost, okay? And so it's so important that you understand your identity is not those things. Your identity are the intangible things, okay? The things that are a part of your character, your nature, the things that are on this list, right? Your impact, your passions, your gifts, your visions, your unique perspective in the way that you approach the world. Those are the parts of your identity. But your identity is not your titles or your accolades, because you know what? Tomorrow you can take on another title. Okay? You can go from, this or that. Those are not, okay? And so yeah, all right. So, but these are places where to look, to start looking for, what is my purpose on this earth? Okay. I'm a mother. My kid has gone off to college. I got an 18-year-old who went to college at the beginning of the month. And if my identity was simply, if my identity began and ended as a mother, right? When both of my children end up being gone, then I'm not going to know who I am anymore, okay? Because I would have been lost in that particular title, right? And I know that this is something that a lot of people go through. And so it's like, you just gotta, if you notice that happening, then it's like, no, reel it in, okay? Reel it in. Look into the unchanging parts of who you are. Look into the things that are the natural thread. And there are things in parenting, for those of you who are parents, there are things in parenting, there are things that is in your job role, your job description, your job title, that are tied to your identity, but your identity is not those titles, okay? Moving on. Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all my story real quick. I'm gonna be quick with it, okay? I made bullet points. All right. I made bullet points so I wouldn't go too long, because I can go. All right, so here's a little bit about me, Keena Atkinson, as you might know me on Facebook, or Miss Rougie Wellness. I'll answer to either or, Miss Rougie or Keena. I'm a single mother, okay? Both of my children, I got my two boys, both of their fathers have been in prison for not all of, but for most of or parts of their lives. Both of my kids' fathers are absent. I got into an argument with somebody a year ago who didn't like the fact that I put single mother in my bio. And I said, and so like, I didn't know why they were so offended by the fact that I put single mother in my bio, but I'm like, but no, I'm a single mama. And I feel like I have an obligation or responsibility to disclose that, because if somebody looks at me and resonates with anything that I do, I want them to know, yeah, I'm a single mom, and no, life ain't been no crystal stair, and I'm still here, right? And a large part of the reason why, right, is because of the life that I've lived and the sacrifices and the investments that I have made as a single mother. And so if I was talking to a single mama, there's a connection piece where they're going to say, oh, I see myself in your story. And so I share that. I'm a single mother. Okay. I grew up in a domestic abuse household as a little girl. We were in and out of domestic abuse shelters. We were homeless, my mother and my sister and I. Okay. My father was abusive. He was alcoholic, and he lost his vision. So he had trauma. And, and I have a lot of love and compassion for both of my parents, especially as a person who is self aware and who's a parent and recognizes, hey, like these people had a whole 30 and 40 something years of living before I even came around, and life wasn't the same. Access to mental health and advocacy wasn't the same back then as it is now. Okay. So I grew up in a domestic abuse household. Eventually, my mom, my sister, and I, we snuck out of the house in Alabama. We ran away, like on that movie Enough with J Lo. We ran away in the middle of the night. Like we climbed over the back patio and we ran away. We drove miles and miles, hours until we got back to Illinois. But we stayed at like a homeless shelter a few times, because if you know anything about domestic abuse, you know that most people don't get out the first time. And so my mama, she didn't get out the first time. And so then, that was when I was a little girl. Then eventually I became a teen mom myself. Okay. I was a freshman in high school and I became a mother. And I was in the foster care system. My oldest son was born when I was 16 years old and I was living in a foster home. I gave birth to him and we went back to the foster home. All right. My father, he was my child's father, my oldest son's father. He was abusive. He was an alcoholic, and he ended up in prison. And so 2 years after I graduated high school, I became homeless with my son. We were homeless, March, April, May, June, July, August. We were homeless for 6 months in 2008. Okay, I got accepted into a college program called UW Odyssey. Shout out to UW Odyssey Project. I went through that program. I got accepted into a college program at the University of Madison while I was homeless. They didn't even know I was homeless, okay? But that really started to turn my life around, being free from the domestic abuse situation, starting college, finally getting into housing. I started to realize how much I loved learning, and I started cosmetology school because I wanted to have a stable income and be able to take care of my kid without having to ask permission to go to his field trips or be present for my son. Because I that was my priority. That was my why, right? Doing what I got to do for my boy. Did cosmetology school, got my 2 year degree, my associate's degree. I got accepted into UW Madison for my bachelor's degree in psychology. So cosmetology and psychology degree. Went to a career in executive leadership, where I was an executive team leader for a Fortune 500 company. I got to lead I got the honor and the privilege of leading hundreds of people of a diverse background in ages and genders and races. And that was a wonderful experience having that opportunity. Eventually, I left my career and I got into real estate. I bought multifamily property. 10 years after I was homeless, I was able to become a landlord and own my own multifamily property and house people, provide housing to people who were going through their own circumstances where they needed their second chance, where they needed their first chance. I'm honored to be able to offer that to people, okay? And then I started my wellness company, Rougie Wellness, where I teach yoga, dance, mindfulness, and I get to do things like this, like show up here and present at this presentation, do poetry, facilitate, hold space, okay? Now, here we go. Through that story, there's themes, okay? And I've gone through so many evolutions, right? I got a podcast, okay? And shout out to my co-host. I see one of my podcast co-hosts is here on the call. Shout out to Drew. So through the story here, there's themes, there's that thread, okay? There's threads of freedom, there's threads of independence, there's threads where sometimes I was being led by fear, sometimes I was being led by anger, or like, what's that word when it's like, I'm just gonna do good just because you said I couldn't, right? Like those were threads for me. Like there were times where I was like, just because you said I couldn't, just because you said my life was over, let me just show you. Okay? Eventually, I was being led by love. Okay? And that wasn't at the beginning, that came later. And then I started to see myself in other people. I started to talk to people and be like, wow, like I I've been there. Oh my gosh, like you had this relationship with the criminal justice system, with the prison system because my children's fathers were in prison. You know, all these different things. Oh, you was in foster care. Oh, you was a teen mother. Oh, you domestic abuse survivor. Oh, and also in those themes as a psychology degree, as a hairstylist, as a yoga instructor, there's this thread of I'm constantly holding space. I'm constantly a place that's safe for people, where people feel safe being vulnerable, sharing, and being open. That's a thread that I noticed through the work that I do. And I'm like, okay, that's part of my identity, right? It's not the titles, that's a part of the identity, those threads, okay? As a hairstylist, yoga mentor, podcast host, I recognize that holding space is a part of my purpose, creating a safe space, allowing room for vulnerability, because I recognize, like, okay, like, there are things that don't scare or shock or frighten me, run me away. There are things that run me away, but these particular things are not the things that run me away or frighten me. These are part of my purpose, okay? Teaching is a part of my purpose. Lifting other people is a part of my purpose. Advocacy is a part of my purpose. Expression, mediation, and translation is a part of my purpose. Being able to translate, being able to take in information and translate it back so that people can have the language and the tools to be able to frame and advocate for themselves or to see themselves in a more compassionate way. Those are the things that I recognize are part of my purpose, okay? So I just want to illustrate that so that you can see how it's like, okay, you understand your story, you have that self-awareness, you figure out those things, the things that you continue to be drawn to. And then it's like, wow, like these are the actual themes. These are the ways that I just can't help but show up. Okay? So, all right, let's keep going. Let me make sure I didn't have anything else. Okay. Oh, yeah, let me tell y'all one more thing about this. I made this note. I wanted to tell you that I think that I first started noticing this when I was in college. And I remember I was sitting at the bus stop. If y'all live in Madison, I was downtown Madison sitting at the bus stop about to catch the bus home. I lived on Darbo. I lived in, one of the highest poverty neighborhoods in the town. At this time, I was living in that neighborhood, and I was catching the bus, and I was crying at the bus stop because my heart felt broken, because I felt like this thing of like a little bit of like guilt and sadness and excitement, because my world was expanding. My world was opening up, but then I was so sad because I was like, how can I take what I'm learning in college back to my neighborhood? How can I teach all of the people in my neighborhood? How can I let them know that the world is bigger than this? Okay? And that was like where the pain was for me. Like that was where I was so sad. And when I look at the themes of my life and I look at the things that drive me, that keep me up at night, it's those things that I'm trying to figure out. How can I deliver to my people who don't know that the world is bigger than this? Okay? So I remember that day. It was my first semester in college. I was overwhelmed with 17 credits at UW-Madison. And I was crying because I wanted people to know all the things that I was learning in that semester. How can I teach everybody everything right now? And to this day, right? Like I'm trying to do my best, right? All right, here's how purpose impacts your life. Here's why you need to be looking for these things if you don't already, if this isn't already enough. Ways it's going to impact your life. Knowing your purpose. And let me see. When I say knowing your purpose, I want to say knowing your purpose. That's what I want to say. I want to say understanding your purpose. It's going to impact your life in these ways, and then some. It's going to impact your mental. You're going to take a different approach to your mental health. You're going to take a different approach to your emotional health, to your overall health and well-being. You're going to approach community differently. You're going to have a different approach with your finances, courage, relationships, energy. I just read my slide. Dang. It's going to impact all of these areas in your life because you're going to have to come face to face with these areas in your life, because you're leaning into your purpose, that divine purpose that you have inside of you, whatever it is, the reason that you're here, the thing that you have to offer the world. You're going to have to come face to face with these things so that you can show up in the best, most powerful, most boldest, bravest, authentic way possible. Okay? You're gonna have to be like, oh man, like, oh gosh, I didn't realize. And let me say this is not like a thing that's like, oh, I touched on mental, I'm done. It's an ongoing thing. You're gonna constantly be becoming exposed to all of these different layers inside of yourself. Okay, it's multidimensional, it's multifaceted, it's such a web. Okay, your courage will constantly be challenged. Your relationships will be challenged. Okay, you're going to be refining constantly. That's a part of finding your purpose, is the process of refining. Okay, your energy, you're going to be paying attention. Okay, this is what's giving me energy, this is what's robbing my energy. Okay, when I talk about community, I'm talking about the community that you're a part of, and also the community that you create. Okay, because in finding your purpose, you're going to be creating community. You're also going to be joining community, you're going to create also. Okay, it's going to impact all those areas of your life and then some. I can't even list all of them. All right, here's the things that I'm going to ask you to do in this time. I'm going to ask you to set boundaries and hard stops. You have to have boundaries in order to lean into your purpose, because otherwise you're going to get sucked up and caught up in everybody else's visions and their purpose and their dreams and goals. So you're going to have to know how much I have to give. Let me see, did I write on here? Don't pour from empty. Oh, that must have been in my don'ts. Okay. So I'm just going to, for this part, I'm going to say, set your boundaries, set your hard stops. Okay. And I say this like when it comes to work. This is when I wrote that, I was thinking about work. Maybe I'm going to also include relationships in there too. You got to set boundaries. With work, in my career position, it was like I didn't leave room for me. I gave my everything. I was giving my everything to my company, so I didn't have anything left for me. But when I did start to make hard stops, hey, at this point, my day is done and I move into family, I move into health and wellness at this part of the day. And when I started to set boundaries, people who don't respect your boundaries are people who don't benefit from them. People who don't like your boundaries are the people who don't benefit from them. So think about who benefits from your boundaries, and then that's the reason why. When you think about what your why is, I want you to think, and when you think about who you impact, I want you to think about your boundaries when you're thinking about these things. Because when I set boundaries around not working past a certain time at night, then I am protecting the space that is for me and my family. Okay? You're setting boundaries, you are protecting something. Okay? So when I started saying at my job, hard stop at 4:30 because I got to go to the gym. I go to the gym because I noticed that I feel so much energized and I feel better about myself and happier when I go dance for an hour. Okay? And then I ended up becoming a career of this, okay? Because I started leaning more into that. Ask for help. Do ask for help, okay? Part of this journey, no, not part of this journey. Oh, no, I'm saying, do ask for help. When I say ask for help, I don't mess it. I mean like whatever it is that you need. I should have put in here, do set your intentions. And I just now realized I should have put that before I put anything. Set your intentions. When you set your intentions, and if y'all be at my yoga classes, attention, intention, awareness. Set your intention. Whatever you set your intentions on, you're going to have attention for. And whatever you have attention for is going to increase your awareness, okay? Intention, attention, awareness. That's how it goes. So when I set my intention, let me give you an example, and I'm sure you can think of one for yourself. Think about a time where you realized, you know what? This is what I need. Whenever you had that light bulb moment, when you recognize what it is that you need, then either you start naturally talking about it in conversation, and then what happens is somebody who thinks about you says, oh, you know what? That's the person for the job. Oh yeah, that's the one. You know, you might look, I'm looking at the list of people on here. So you set your intention and you be like, hey, this is the thing that I'm looking for, this is the thing I need. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, you know what? I know exactly who's the perfect person for that is gonna be Christine. Right? Oh, who that? Oh, that's Betty. You should call Betty. Or Amelia or Alicia. Okay? They're gonna think about you because you set your you that this is how things become magnetized and attracted to you because you set your intention there. When you set your intention there, that's where your attention goes, and then not just your attention but everybody else's. Okay, so ask for the help by setting your intention. Take time for yourself. You got to take time for yourself because if you're too busy, if you're just running yourself empty, burning your candle at both ends, if you can't have quiet time, then you won't be able to maintain your focus with that zhuzh that it needs to be maintained with. Okay, so take time for yourself, prioritize your self-care. Notice how energized you feel when you take care of yourself. Notice how your creativity flows differently. Notice how innovative that you are when you do self-care, when you're rested. Y'all notice that people talk about being productive and creative and efficient, but they don't be talking about rest. And that is important. You in exercise, listen, I'm a wellness professional. Part of I ain't got no abs, but I'm getting some. Part of getting those abs and them muscles is sleeping because you got to sleep so that your muscles can actually do the work of recovery. Your brain, when you get proper rest, your brain sends out certain hormones and chemicals that just rejuvenates and restores you overall. Okay, so prioritize self-care, rest, take days or times or time every day. Take time every day where you just can center and ground yourself, where you can be present with yourself, where you can have quiet time just for you. Okay, and my Ayurvedic teacher Anita and Raquel, they will always say if you are busy, if you have a regular day, take 5 minutes, and if you're especially busy, then double it. Okay, so 5 minutes or 10, or if you usually take 30 minutes, then take an hour on your busiest day. It's so important, it's an investment. Say yes to new things. I can't remember if I put this book in the resources at the end, but I read Shonda Rhimes' Year of Yes. Say yes to new things. I be saying yes to things all the time. I be scared and I be saying yes, y'all. And those are the things that grew me. I say the things that you want to say no to is usually because you're scared. And so I'm going to encourage you to still say yes anyway because you're going to grow. So say yes to new things. Also say yes to new things because you never know. Like if somebody invites you to do something, you just never know the way that it's going to resonate or connect or move you forward. Somebody thought about you and thought you were perfect and relevant for this thing. Say yes to it. Try it out. Unless it violates your boundaries. But if it doesn't, say yes, okay? Embrace failures, okay? I don't want anybody on here thinking that whatever they're doing, it has to be perfect, it has to be just right, because it won't. And that's the beautiful part about it. So just embrace failure as part of the process. If y'all have met Meet the Robinsons, did I say if y'all have met? If y'all have watched Meet the Robinsons, just remember that in that movie, they celebrated every failure because it's not really a failure. It's actually like an opportunity, like something that you tried and you took a chance on. It was a repetition because now the next time you do it, it's going to be even better. Okay, and so it's so exciting when you try something. Okay, if you do yoga, you try your handstand and you don't even know how far you've come unless you've tried something and failed. Okay, and if you fail at it, then the next time you do it, you're like, whoa, I actually got it. But you're going to synthesize differently in the times that you do fail. But if you don't try, you won't get anywhere. So try. Read books, listen to positive, encouraging content. I want you to do that because, you know, part of finding your purpose, it does feel like a lonely process at times. So I want you to read books and listen to positive, encouraging content because it's gonna keep your stamina. It's gonna help you build your stamina and keep your fortitude, your stamina. It's gonna keep you going. All right, and it's also, and you got to do it every day. Okay. Because if you don't, at some point you might get to be slipping. Will the recording be available on YouTube? Yes, the recording will be on YouTube after. You might find yourself slipping if you don't keep that practice rolling. So do it every day, okay? 15 minutes, but I would encourage you to do 30 to 60 minutes of something that's investing into like your positive, encouraging mindset. Travel because you need to learn that the world is bigger than your world that you live in. Okay, keep your ego out of the party. Do keep your ego out of the party. Looking for your purpose is not about the recognition, the shine, the fame, or fame or the fortune. It's about the impact. Okay, if you start like again, I'm a yoga instructor. I remember in my yoga teacher training, my yoga teacher said, if people get out and leave out of your class, it's okay. You got to be thankful because they're honoring themselves and their needs. Okay, keep your ego out of it. It's not about you. Okay, it's about the impact. It is about the people who you will impact. It is about the gifts that you're giving, that you're offering the world. It's not about you. Okay, like I'm a vessel, I'm a channel. Okay, it's not about me. So I honor people who say, hey, whatever you're offering, Keena, is not for me. And I also honor people who say, Keena, I want more of whatever you're offering, as much as you're willing to offer. Okay, I honor both. All right, but it's not about none of the, you know, celebrate your progress. Okay, so it's like a balance. Okay, how do I be humble, but then how do you celebrate? You still want to celebrate because you want to keep track of your milestones and your wins. You want to keep track of the process. You want to keep track of like, like the way that you're intentionally living your life and offering your gifts and talents to people. Okay, so celebrate your progress, and most importantly, start ASAP. Okay, don't let time, don't be so, don't have so much audacity to believe that tomorrow is promised, because it's not. Okay, so don't sit up here and have the nerve to think, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. Tomorrow will be here, because tomorrow might not be here. And if tomorrow is here, it won't be here the same way it is today. Okay, so start today. Do whatever you got to do today. Okay, all right. Steps. I don't think I'm gonna read. I'm not gonna read all this. Take a screenshot of this, okay? Because we talked about most of these things, but I was like, well, maybe I should just put down the steps so that I keep myself on track. Let me see. What things do I want to help you? That I want to talk about right now. Ask yourself, what do you want to be known for? Oh yeah, that was one of the other things. Like, what do I want to be known for? Screenshot this page, y'all, because it's kind of self-explanatory. Let go of people who drag you down. If you notice that every time you're talking to somebody and they're telling you, you know what, you just always having all of these crazy ideas and thoughts and visions, you need to let them go, because maybe those people have never had encounters with miracles. Maybe those people have never done amazing things that they didn't know that they were capable of, or maybe they just didn't recognize it or celebrate it, or maybe that's just not where they're living at in their life right now. Okay, so do that. Also, like we talked about earlier, the gratitude, it helps you to see the abundance. Look for problems, okay? We talked about this a little bit ago. Look for problems that you feel called to solve, okay? It's an amazing thing when you run into problems, because it means that you are capable of solving it, because you noticed it and recognized it as a problem. I love running into problems, okay? And you got to take ownership, okay, of all of the areas in your life, because how can you look for purpose if you're living in a victim mindset? You can't, okay? One of the books that I'm going to give you all at the end of the resources is the 4 Agreements, okay? 4 Agreements really helps tackle that accountability part, because it really gives you like the opportunity to live in a lifestyle of accountability, which gives you power. You get to be empowered in the way that you live your life, okay? Practice forgiveness for yourself. And when I say forgiveness, maybe I might want to say compassion. Maybe I want to say both. I want you to practice that, because I don't want you to be stuck in regret. Okay, so just whatever things like that don't go the way you wanted it to go, just practice forgiveness. You're a human. This is not a human perfect. You're a human being. You be, okay? If you're committed to lifelong growth, then there's going to be things you have to apologize for, because you don't know what you don't know what you don't know, okay? Eric Thomas's mother calls that the triple darkness, okay? So yeah, as your awareness expands, and as you evolve, and as you continue to refine in life, you're going to realize, oh my God, I didn't know that. My perspective changed, and that's okay. And then also, like when we talked about earlier, how looking for your purpose, you're going to have to tackle some of your mental and things like that, and things of your past. Go ahead and confront those wounds, but do it in a safe space. Do it with professional. I have therapists. I see therapists every other week, okay, who can guide me and hold me in that safe space so that I can confront those things in my life and make peace with them and let them not hold me back. The things that we avoid, and I remember last month we were going over the action plan, or I forgot what it's called, like my goals, and she was like, "Is there anything else?" And I was like, "You should be asking me the things that I'm avoiding or that I'm trying not to talk about, because those are probably the things I need to be working on the most. Because of course, those are the things that hold me back the most." And you know, in 2018 it was something different than what it is now, because of course your awareness. So as you go through your stages in life, you're gonna be like, "Oh my God, I didn't even realize that I had, like things going on with abandonment," or "Oh my God, I did not know that I had some unresolved like trust issues," or things like that, or having problems or struggles with surrender. You're just gonna learn different things, and so that's okay. Welcome them in lovingly and mindfully with the professional. And if you don't have a professional, I want you to go back to one of those earlier steps where you ask for help, because don't let money be a barrier, because where there's a will, there's a way. Okay. And so, unbeknownst to you, there are certainly ways that you can get the help that you need. And getting the help that you need to establish a mindset that's more clear is going to help you to get the access to the finances that's going to sustain that. Okay, so put your number one. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Put your oxygen mask on first. Pour from the overflow of your cup. Take care of your mental so that you can take care of everything else. Take care of your emotional so you can take care of everything else. Okay, I put these quotes in here, screenshot them. I wanted to talk about what they mean a little bit to me and how they translate, but just put them here. Understanding purpose is one thing, but recognizing the importance of having purpose is another. Everyone has a unique purpose in life, whether it'll be to help others, provide for family, or be free. Hey, that's the same thing as saying you're a snowflake. You have your unique set of experiences and whatnot. This is so good, but missed parts in the beginning. So, yes, watch it later. Okay, so hey, you're a snowflake. Your unique experiences, interests, and life circumstances is experiences. Okay, you are a snowflake. There's nobody else like you. There's no other you, and so you have a responsibility to bring all of that to the forefront. Knowing your purpose, screenshot this. Knowing your purpose gives you life, meaning, simplicity, focus, and motivation. It also prepares you for eternity. When I say eternity, I mean immortality. Because again, your gifts are going to live on for lifetimes, for generations, for centuries, for decades. When you become an ancestor, okay, your gifts will bless and encourage and impact others, okay? The purpose of life is to contribute in some way to make things better. Need I say more? Nothing will divert me from my purpose. I put that in there because I wanted to tell you all, if you're not clear on what it is that your purpose is, why you're here, then again, you're going to get sucked into building somebody else's thing, and you're gonna feel more lost. Okay, so having that awareness and understanding is gonna keep your eye on the prize. It's gonna keep you focused. Arjuna, and the bird's eye. Okay, yoga. All right, when you find your why, you don't hit snooze. This is the last one. When you find your why, you don't hit snooze no more. You'll find a way to make it happen. Eric Thomas. Okay. Think about what launches you out of bed in the morning. If you are not getting out of bed every day, like, bing, another day to like live my best life, then I need you to do something different, okay? What launches you out of bed every day? What is it that makes you jump out of bed without putting the snooze, without saying, "Oh, another day, Groundhog's Day"? Ain't no Groundhog's Day when you live in your best, authentic, purpose-filled, and driven life, okay? So if you're living in Groundhog's Day, we're going to look at some of those previous things to get you out of Groundhog's Day, okay? What about when? What about when I'm afraid? What about when I'm scared? Listen, I'm scared all the time, y'all. And so I promise you, when I tell you, commit to doing it anyway when you're scared. I'm telling you this from everyday experience, okay? Like, I'm always scared, but scared is not a reason to not do something. Scared, if anything, is the reason to do it, because fear is a symptom of ignorance or the unknown. Like, fear is the side effect of those things, right? Did y'all see Frozen 2, Into the Unknown? I don't sing, I'm not a singer. But the things that people are afraid of are really the things that they're ignorant about, okay? So if you're afraid of doing something, it's just because you haven't done it or because you don't know what's gonna happen. And that's okay, you don't have to know. That is your control issues taking over. So you can have control issues and you can still practice surrender, okay? Listen, take it from me. All right, remember your why. All right, speak it out loud to somebody who you trust. In the most recent podcast, episode 32 of Good Bad Breakthrough Podcast, I was telling them about how there was something I didn't want to do, and it came down to boiled down. I gave every excuse for why I didn't want to do it. I had logical reasons. Look, when you're scared, you can have all the reasons in the world to not do something, but it's just you scared. Okay, so don't let your brain is meant to protect you. Your brain will give you reasons that is very logical and that makes sense, but no. All right, do it anyway. Scared is not a good enough reason to not. Okay, and this was something I had to confront within myself when it came to starting the podcast. What if people don't like me? What if I say something wrong? What if I make a mistake? And I had to just say, you know what, I'm human, and if I make a mistake, charge it to my heart. Charge it to my head, not my heart, or vice versa. It wasn't my intentions to offend or to mess up. But if I didn't mess up, I would not have learned a lesson from it. You block yourself from lessons when you just don't do it. Okay? What about when I run into problems? Walls. What if the money ain't right? What if you got all these things that you can tell me about? What if I don't have the hours in the day? What if the obstacles and the barriers? Remember your why. Do not give up. Unlock your inner genius. If y'all read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki taught me that one. Unlock your inner genius. Robert Kiyosaki said, when things get hard, you cannot give up. You have to lean in further. When you get to those barriers, those challenges, hey, shout out to them barriers and them challenges, because now I get to unlock a part of my brain that I didn't even know was in there. I get to unlock the inner genius, okay? I don't know if he said it in that way, but that's what he said basically, okay? What about when I run into problems? Take a nap, sleep on it, surrender to the process, practice gratitude, okay? Running into new problems stretches your mind and creativity. Let me be the one to tell you, if nobody else told you, that you were built for this. Okay? It's a blessing to run into problems, okay? Because it's like, okay, I get to think in different ways that I never got to think. How many people get the privilege and the honor of doing that? You get that. What about when I don't know what to do next? When I don't know what the next step is to take, that's okay. It's okay to not know what to do next. It's okay to not know what's coming. It's okay to be like, that's okay. You'll get comfortable with that feeling, and you will become practiced and versed at going anyway. Tell somebody who you trust. Take a tiny step, okay? A tiny step into that clarity, and do not give up. It's really that simple. Don't not do something just because you're afraid. Don't put time in between you and your purpose. Don't lose yourself. Okay? Evolve, refine, redefine. It is okay if the vision that you saw last year is not the same as today. It's okay. Do y'all know how many times that my business model has evolved? It's okay. Shout out to Sabrina Madison. She taught me that, and Jasmine Appleton. Okay, shout out to them. They taught me it's okay to change and evolve. I'm evolving. I'm refining. Of course, I'm not going to say the same. Of course. Okay, here's resources. Oh, it's 6:59. I can't believe I got through this. Okay, celebrate my wins. Okay, resources. Here's the resources. Screenshot this. Okay, books. I just finished reading You Owe You by Eric Thomas. What an amazing, phenomenal book. It came out like a week and a half ago, and I finished it. It's over there, so I didn't bring it over here, but I want to show y'all that book is dope. Read that book. Here's books that are going to help you find your purpose. You Owe You by Eric Thomas. The Mountain Is You by Brianna West. Listen to Anything by T.D. Jakes. Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. I should have put the 10X rule in here. The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, Vibrate Higher Daily, Layla Delia, The Alchemist, The Four Agreements, The One Thing by Gary Keller. These books changed my life. They pushed me, the girl who you see right here, these books are that. These books got me there. Podcast, listen to my podcast, y'all. Good Bad Breakthrough podcast, Rougie Ruminations and Revelations podcast, The Secret to Success podcast, The Social Proof podcast. Lisa Nichols, she's gonna stir something in you. Sarah Jakes Roberts, she gonna stir something in you. So will TD Jakes and Michael Beckwith. These are the people who lead me. Okay, y'all, and that's it. That's it, y'all. It's 7 o'clock. I wanted to respect y'all's time. If y'all have questions, let me know. But remember, this is recorded, so y'all can come back to this at any given moment. Maddie.
I would just like to say I can't believe you made it through when you talked about all what you wanted to cover. And I was like, that is a week's worth of content. I have been taking notes on Post-it notes all day. I don't know why, but I have like 3 new Post-it notes with different things. I really loved the boundaries part, and it was an excellent reminder, especially with the holidays. And I always feel like my boundaries get loose in the summer because I just want to say yes to everything. And I kind of forget a little bit of my boundaries. So I always kind of take a moment in this winter forced hibernation to pause and kind of reestablish those. And so there was some really good reminders along with other things. But thank you so much. I really needed to hear that right now. And so that's going to be something that I carry with me for the whole week. And the recording will be up on our Facebook page and YouTube page, probably Friday, if not next week. One of my coworkers adds them all. And so those should be up. The video should be up momentarily. And then also I want to invite everyone. We have the Dream Summit coming up on October 12th and 13th. I'll put the link in the chat to sign up. It is something I am really excited about. And there are a few activities that we're going, a few events, I don't know why I said activities, that are going to be happening. And one of them is with Lena West, and it's all about the power of asking. And this is just an all asking for that raise, asking for what you need in a relationship, and really just kind of harnessing that. And it is not a sign of weakness, but strength. And I have heard her talk before, and it totally transformed my relationship with asking for help or even just simply what I need. And I can't recommend that enough. The summit also will be, if you can't make it live, it will be or you'll have access to it if you sign up for it for the 30 days after. So you can totally make it work for your schedule. It is something that I'm really looking forward to. And there's a wide variety of other events. We have or Abby Wambach. She's going to be talking all about community and kind of like your wolf pack and how you can use others to help achieve your dream, but then also how you show up for them, which is going to be fabulous. We have Karamo coming, and he is going to be talking on confidence. So there is just a lot of treats packed in there. We have some really tactile ones like budgeting and some time management and like how to make your habits work for you. So all of the good things to come. So I encourage you to sign up for the summit if you haven't already. It's a fabulous lineup, but those were just a few that I wanted to call out. Thank you all so much for joining us. Unfortunately, we don't have time for questions tonight, but Keena will be back. So thank you so much. Catch her at yoga, but she'll also be with us at some point too for Dream Big again. But thank you, everyone, and enjoy your night. Bye.